The Galactic Empire struck without warning. Their ships descended in silence, casting enormous shadows over Earth's cities, forests, deserts, and oceans. No declarations, no negotiations, just swift, cold conquest. Humanity barely had time to react before the sky itself turned foreign. Alien walkers stormed small towns while orbital drones mapped every inch of terrain. Resistance was scattered, crushed within hours. Earth was a farm to be harvested, nothing more. They came to a quiet valley, far from any major installation. A rural zone, unremarkable until the scanners detected viable life. Small groupings of humans. Children, specifically females of early breeding age, which the Empire's AI systems marked as high-value biological stock. Within minutes, transport pods landed. Soldiers, tall and gaunt with metallic armor and blank, featureless masks, moved in formation through fields and ruined fences. The girls were rounded up, stunned unconscious, and tagged like specimens. Parents were neutralized or ignored. No resistance was expected in a place like this. They didn't bother to identify the homestead's owner. To them, one primitive human was no different from another. He wasn't home when they came. Just the two girls. Sisters. One was 12, the other 15. The older one tried to fight, but a single shock round dropped her in silence. They were gone within minutes, and the sun rose over empty ground, unaware it had just witnessed the greatest mistake the Empire would ever make. Miles away, the father returned to the silence of his home. He noticed it before he entered. The birds weren't singing. The front door was ajar. He moved fast, faster than any man his age should have. The inside was torn, evidence of a struggle. His fingers moved on their own, checking for footprints, chemical residue, heat traces. The way a man does when he's done this hundreds of times before. He found a broken pendant, his youngest daughter's, and the exact impact site of an alien stun round. His hands didn't shake. He stood in the center of the room, breathing slow and deep. He didn't shout. He didn't cry. He went to the basement. The walls there weren't concrete. They were lead-lined and buried. Military grade. He disabled the old lock, opened the armory. Inside, rows of cases perfectly maintained, each labeled, each one a part of a past no one in the valley ever knew existed. The man had no rank now, but once he'd been called many things: operative, marksman, assassin, but above all, sniper, the best humanity had ever bred. He was a ghost on the battlefield, a man who fought in the wars Earth never admitted to. He opened a long case lined with matte black velvet. Inside, a rifle longer than his arm, custom-built, rail-augmented, whisper-quiet. He checked the chamber, examined the optics, tested the trigger. All muscle memory. His expression never changed. He reached for the satchel, filled it with ammo, explosives, an old patch bearing a symbol no one used anymore, a mark feared by enemies and buried by allies. He accessed the secure terminal hidden beneath a false floor. Power hummed. The terminal glowed green. Lines of code. Hidden networks. He typed in a dead man's code that hadn't been used in over a decade. Satellite data flooded in. He saw them. The trajectory of the Empire's ship. Coordinates. Time of departure. The last known location of his daughters. And with it, the identity of the abductors. They weren't just aliens. They were part of the Sargon Initiative, a special detachment known for trafficking sentient species. Ruthless. Efficient. Supposedly unstoppable. He leaned back, closed his eyes for one breath, then opened them. He didn't need backup. He didn't need orders. He needed his daughters. And the Galactic Empire had just declared war on the wrong human. He moved through the forest under cover of darkness, bypassing patrol drones that scanned for signs of movement. No digital signature, no power source, nothing for them to detect. He was a shadow in a world of light. He made contact with an old node buried beneath a mile of dirt and steel, a Cold War-era uplink station, long thought abandoned. Within minutes, he bypassed the security layers and gained access to the encrypted satellite grid. He wasn't looking for Earth defenses. He was looking for outbound jump signatures. Alien ones. The Empire didn't know their own drives left ripples humans could track. if they knew where to look and what tools to use. He did. Their destination was brutal, a border world fortress used as a staging ground for conquest, known as Varnak 6. Not a slave world, not a prison, a meat grinder. No human had ever seen it and returned. That didn't matter. He made his way to a private aerospace graveyard where governments dumped prototypes no one could afford to keep running. Most were rusted-out shells, stripped for parts. But deep in one of the hangars, beneath canvas and dust, he found it, an experimental stealth dropship, short-range, fusion core intact. He spent 12 hours rerouting systems, replacing failed conduits, patching NAV software with hand-coded algorithms. Then he rearmed it, quietly. At midnight, it lifted off with no visible signature. He used an old military beacon burst once, just once, to get clearance through the ionosphere. No one responded. Perfect. He didn't sleep on the journey. The ship ran silent as it crossed parsecs. He studied every scrap of intelligence he had on the Empire's internal architecture. Their base layout followed predictable logic, efficiency above all else. He broke down known schematics, calculated time-to-alert ratios, studied their response protocols. He learned how the internal AI functioned, and more importantly, how to confuse it. He created a suit, not of armor, but of infiltration. Adaptive material, light absorbent, designed for movement, not confrontation. He wasn't going to win a war. He was going to cut a single hole deep enough that they'd bleed from it for years. When he dropped into orbit above Varnak 6, he coasted in manually. No boosters, no heat trail, just gravitational drift and precision timing. The landing bay was crawling with guards. He didn't engage. He watched, waited. Movement patterns, patrol frequencies, timing gaps. 3 hours later, he moved. No alarms. No bodies left in the open. Silent takedowns. One shot. One kill. All headshots. All through alien armor. He found an auxiliary shaft leading into a maintenance corridor. They didn't bother securing it. Why would they? No one had ever reached this far undetected. He bypassed the internal sensors using a custom-coded disruptor he built from stolen components and dead alien gear. He left no trace. The AI registered minor fluctuations, static. It didn't escalate. He reached an access panel near the detention ring. Plugged in, pulled data. Prisoner manifests. There they were. Still alive. Still in containment. They hadn't been processed yet. Good. But he couldn't go in yet. Not until he created chaos. He moved toward the power substation. Took out the guards. Used their own security pass to trigger a localized lockdown. Then rigged the core to overload. Slowly. Just enough to trigger cascading malfunctions. Lights flickered. Doors failed to seal. Comm lines scrambled. Confusion spread like fire. And he vanished again into the dark. The Empire knew something was wrong, but they didn't know what. Internal chatter hinted at a malfunction, maybe sabotage. But they never suspected one man. Not yet. He moved faster now, silent, efficient, calculating. One by one, checkpoints fell. Not with gunfire, but with silence. Guards went missing. Cameras looped. Access logs vanished. He reached the outer wall of the detention block and listened. 2 voices, his daughters. Alive. Calm. He planted a charge on the wall, shaped for minimal force. The barrier hissed and dissolved. His girls didn't scream. They recognized him instantly. Time to go, he said. But he didn't leave. Not yet. He left the girls behind a secured panel in the ventilation grid, handed them a beacon with a single instruction: activate it only if he didn't return. Then he moved, fast and deliberate. The compound was now operating under a Tier 3 alert. Still no clear target identified. The confusion was working in his favor. He used it like a weapon. The first kill in this phase was strategic, a logistics officer. 1 round through the skull while it was mid-command. The alien's body slumped forward onto the console, systems left wide open. He accessed it remotely, disabled perimeter reinforcements, and redirected 2 security squads into dead sectors. Divide and control. He knew the enemy's fear threshold. They weren't used to not seeing their threat. Most of their wars were fought from the sky. Their soldiers trained for control, not chaos. But now they were being hunted, and they didn't know by what. Next, he took down an engineer, sliced the neural relay node from its wrist, and used it to mimic access clearance. With it, he entered the internal AI chamber. He didn't destroy it. He fed it false data, rendered images of multiple intruders, copied ghost signals from other parts of the base. The AI calculated that it was under a coordinated assault and initiated base-wide lockdown. That bought him time and terror. He set traps, not simple explosives, behavioral traps. He created noise in one sector, then shot the officers who responded. After the fourth incident, alien units stopped answering alerts altogether. Paranoia replaced protocol. The officer class convened in the war chamber. He listened to their frequencies. One name kept surfacing: human ghost. A myth, a cautionary tale from their early encounters with Earth's special forces. They believed this was legend reborn. They were right. He used the chaos to access the cargo bays. Inside, rows of caged life forms from other conquered worlds. He opened them all, let them loose. Screams echoed through the halls as containment failed across the facility. Not his priority, but useful. By now, the entire base was warping under the weight of its own failure. Systems failing, orders conflicting, troops firing at shadows. And above it all, he moved like death incarnate. Every shot a confirmation that no one was safe. He reached the command core. 2 guards. He took one down with a throwing knife, the other with a round through the throat. Clean. He entered the command override station and shut down atmospheric regulation to the upper towers. Forced everyone into the lower sectors where the chaos was worst. Herded them like prey. Inside the command room, he found the transmission logs. Orders to extract the human samples to the central Empire hub. He deleted them. Then, for the first time, he sent a message back. Not a scream, not a threat, just coordinates. Earth. Let them wonder why. He planted demolition charges on the power grid, calculated to delay the explosion just long enough for extraction. The moment he stepped out, 3 alien officers opened fire. He rolled, snapped 2 shots, and took cover. He hadn't fired this many rounds in years. His hands didn't shake. They tried flanking. He anticipated it, dropped a flash charge, moved to a higher vantage, and took out the last one with a clean shot through its backplate. He didn't waste time inspecting. By the time reinforcements arrived, half the lower deck was in flames. The self-contained reactors were primed to fail. He triggered the sequence and moved toward extraction. As he reached the hidden panel, he found the beacon active. His girls had followed the fail-safe, only because the clock had run too long. They saw the blood on him. Neither flinched. He didn't explain. "We're leaving," he said. Behind them, the first explosions began. The base wasn't just damaged, it was collapsing from within. He didn't look back. They reached the outer rim of the compound as the internal reactors began their meltdown. The heat signature alone would register across half the sector. He didn't speak. The extraction path was already mapped. He led them through collapsed tunnels and ruined corridors, each step timed to avoid detection. The ship was waiting, cloaked, primed for emergency launch. They boarded. No pre-flight checks, just launch. The explosion lit up the atmosphere behind them. The base was gone. Inside the cockpit, he bypassed standard war procedures. The girls strapped in silently. They didn't cry. They didn't ask questions. Whatever fear they carried was buried deep, taught, not inherited. He initiated a short jump to a dark sector just outside known Empire patrol zones. It was a void in space where signals disappeared and sensors lied. There, he sent a single message. It was not to Earth. It was to them. Encrypted, undeniable. A data packet containing the full security logs, command failures, intercepted transmissions, audio, video, proof that one human had dismantled an entire Fortress-class facility alone, retrieved his targets, and left the Empire crippled. No bravado, just fact. And then came the voice clip. 15 seconds. You touched what was mine. This is your only warning. He set it to repeat on all known frequencies. Not every alien would hear it, but the right ones would. The Empire would call it psychological warfare. He called it honesty. He rerouted to a hidden station in Earth's outer ring, off the books, unregistered. The kind of place people disappeared to when the wars ended. The kind of place that remembered him. They didn't ask questions when he landed. They opened the gates. His daughters were given shelter, food, silence. Medical scans showed no harm. He stayed outside, rifle still strapped to his back. Hours passed. Then he walked into the observation room and sat. He watched the stars. Word had already spread. On back channels, in whispers, between factions that rarely spoke. One man, one mission, one lesson. The Empire had never truly feared humans. Not their weapons, not their numbers. But now they had a name, a myth made real, and a message delivered not through diplomacy, but through destruction. The Emperor convened a silent council. Advisors argued. Some wanted retaliation. Others warned against further engagement. The phrase used most. What if there are more like him? They didn't know there weren't. But they couldn't be sure. Back on the station, he sat with his daughters. No words about what happened. Just presence. The silence between them said enough. The older one asked to learn the rifle. The younger, tactics. He agreed to both. He didn't talk about revenge. He didn't preach hate. He taught discipline, awareness, control. Because Earth had learned something too, that they were no longer safe simply by being small. The war hadn't started, but it wasn't over either. He sent one final package into the void. The base coordinates, his kill log, and a simple phrase attached. Humanity protects its own. The Empire didn't respond. They wouldn't dare.